we're all exposed to about 4 to 10,000 different like marketing pieces or ads or advertisements every single day. That's insane.
We get so many books online or Amazon, whatever. It's always the same experience. This was so different. And there's so many elements in there that made it so memorable, right?
Your body needs, well, Luis and Fonzie, your body might need those 4 things.
My body's perfection, just saying.
What we teach is all about the X factor effect. It's all about how to be different, those differences that make a difference so that you can break through the noise. It got to the point where I was making over $1,000 profit for me on multiple days.
Why ideas that influence, right? Again, I'm sure because ideas is the base of great content.
The trick was, how can I launch a book and be different? And the way I came up with it was...
We've got some fresh
Hey, I'm Luis.
And this is Luis.
And welcome to the Content is Profit podcast.
In here, you're gonna get the insights, accountability, and drive to create consistently and increase revenue.
You'll hear from top entrepreneurs, creators, and anything and everything you need to know about content. All this while having a good time.
The goal of this podcast is simple: entertain, educate, and turn your content into profit.
What's up? Is my energy good now?
Yeah, I was gonna comment on that. I was gonna say from last episode to today, I can tell you get a little bit more sleep.
I know, man. 6 hours. There we go. Guys, if you're enjoying these episodes, go ahead and follow the show in your favorite podcasting platform and YouTube. Go ahead and follow on YouTube. Watch our beautiful faces. Deliver value.
Definitely got some sleep. And if today's guests help you move one step closer towards your goal, please don't forget to share this episode. And of course, don't forget to leave a 5-star review.
Yes.
Thank you.
Guys, our guest today just released an incredible book called Ideas That Influence. And the experience was top-notch. We'll talk about that in just a second. He has put 7,400 people into one event. And they, just saying, this is he put it there at the end. It's like over 2 million people in an online movement that they created down in Brazil. What the heck? So amazing, man. So amazing. How many football stadiums is that? I don't know. Like 20,000, right? And he's obviously served over 20,000 students and clients. Guys, we're so excited to welcome our very own Content is Profit Hall of Famer, Daniel Den.
What's up, Daniel?
Let's go! Luis and Fonzie, you two are incredible. We're probably, yes, related.
Probably.
We're definitely...
I'm half Venezuelan.
There you go.
I feel like you're the only half Venezuelan we've had on the podcast. So yeah, that definitely makes us brothers.
I mean, half Venezuelan or full Venezuelan too. Like.
Yeah, exactly. Dude.
Yeah, my dad was born in Venezuela, and the first language I spoke was Spanish. But yeah, because of everything with Brazil, now I pretty much just speak Portuguese. But yeah, I was a little baby spitting off those Spanish words. I've got like this
eating some arepas,
getting some arepas. And I actually had an arepa party. Okay, all right. For the listeners, arepas. There, you can do sweet arepas, you can do savory arepas, you can put the meat in it, you can put the cheese in it, and then if you want to go sweet, you can do like the guava, and you can do like the dulce de leche, and you can do like the sweet and condensed milk. And both are amazing. If you've never had your own arepa party, then do it. I've done it with my sister more than once when we came together as family, and it is so good.
I'm gonna put this out there, Daniel. That's our signature move whenever we go to events. We ended up doing one in Boise, Idaho with an inner circle thing, and we had about 100 plus people show up in this house, and it was like the most amazing like networking experience. So you tell me, man, the next event you launch, just call us, and we'll be there doing the arepa experience with you. Just saying. You guys
will bring the Content is Profit food truck.
There we go.
And
arepas for everybody.
It.
Hey, how many arepas did we cook that night?
No line of business has been developed right here.
Yeah, how many arepas did we cook that night?
I know, a lot.
Was hundreds, man, and people loved it. It was so good. Anyways, all right, Fonzie, start us off.
Yeah, I'm gonna start you guys off. I was like, guys, we gotta start with the heavy hitters out here. So, Daniel, And for those wondering, if you want to listen more about him, go to episode 55. Incredible. He shares a little bit about his story, some of the things they've accomplished. But today we're talking all about how he has turned that content into profit, what he's doing right now, his new book, Ideas to Influence. So Daniel, why don't you share with us a little bit, where would you be if you didn't create any content, and how can you quantify the impact that it has had on your business?
Where would I be if I didn't create content?
Back in Venezuela.
Back in Venezuela, which would unfortunately not be the best place to be.
No, unfortunately.
Yep.
So I when I had my first really big hit with content, I did something really different. So as you two know, Luis and Fonzie, what we teach is all about the X factor effect. It's all about how to be different, those differences that make a difference so that you can break through the noise. And one of my big home run hits, before I even started working with my business partner down in Brazil, and before we grew this movement, and before I wrote Ideas That Influence and launched Ideas That Influence here in the States, and before all of that really cool stuff, I had a home run hit with some content. Have you, Luis and Fonzie, ever heard of the word advertorial?
I have not.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar. So advertorial, it's a really old advertising technique that works like gangbusters. And what they did was when newspapers started to become popularized, smart marketers realized that instead of having a normal ad, what they could do was they could pay for a full page ad, and they could write it as if it was an article and as if it was content. And the article inside of the newspaper would talk about, they would tell a story, right? It would follow a content model, but at the end of that story, it would have a call to action for a product or service. And advertorials still happen today. You can see them sometimes in magazines. You'll see them in newspapers. If you can find a newspaper, then you can see them in newspapers. But at some point in the early 2000s, it started to become a thing to create advertorials online. And so one of my first big hits was I created an online advertorial where instead of sending my paid website traffic to a normal website that was selling a product or service, I sent it to an article that was an article telling a story that would sell the product or service. I did this, and I had 2 grand slams. One grand slam was there was these kits that we were selling to smokers that were looking to quit smoking, and I told these stories about how people were like their lives were getting changed, and here's what the doctor said, and then I would have a call to action to the kits. And then the second big way that I did it with my second big grand slam was I created the world's first, and I have verified this multiple times, I created the first car insurance advertorial. And I was the first person to ever sell car insurance online through an article style format. And everybody else, they were sending their ads directly to the car insurance websites where it's like, fill this out and save like 15% or 50% on car insurance, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And instead, I created a piece of content and I put it in between as an extra step. So I extended the sales funnel. I didn't shorten the sales funnel. I extended the sales funnel by putting a piece of content in the middle, and that piece of content increased overall conversion rates. So we actually split tested it. We were like, okay, here's the ad, sending it directly to the page where we want people to convert, and then here's the ad, first taking people to the advertorial, and then taking people to the page where we wanted to convert. And overall, I increased profitability probably right around 75% by putting that extra piece of content in the middle. And I was the first person ever to create this car insurance advertorial. And for 6 months, Luis and Fonzie, I was the only one on the internet with a car insurance advertorial, and I was raking in the dough. I was like, yeah. And I was like already planning my retirement plan. And I was like, this is amazing. And then eventually somebody copied me.
Like it happens.
And then, so they like completely just copied, they copied my whole page.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay, it's, you know, I'm still making money, so it's fine. And then a month later, I had like 5 or 6 people that had copied me. And then by probably about 6 months after that, I had about 50 people who had just completely swiped my winning model for content. And now I don't believe I told this on episode 55, but that was one of the catalysts for the X Factor effect methodology, because I had a winner, right? But it was a winner. It was a business model that was working, but it was too easily copyable. It was too easily copied, and people ripped me off, and there was very few things that I could do in order to stop that from happening. And so when I started working with my business partner down in Brazil, Pedro Superti, we started to think about this in a bigger way, because when people copy you and they, you know, they're it's really frustrating when people copy you to the degree where you don't know how to stop them.
Yeah.
So when we created the X Factor effect methodology and the 9 pillars, what we figured out is if you can create multiple differences inside of your business that are so unique, and if you can stack those differences that make a difference on top of one another, then you can get to the point inside of your business where if you did have a competitor that copied all of your differences, that it would get to the point where it was laughable and very, very, very obvious that somebody was just trying to be a copycat competitor. So we've got these pillars, and what we encourage people to do is create all these differences so that it's just so different that you become a unicorn in your market, and you become a unicorn that graduates to becoming a market leader or a category king or category king or category queen, because your differences are so unique and so different and so impactful for your dream customers that your competitors get to the point where they really can't copy everything that you're doing because you're such a unicorn.
So cool, man. Dude, thank you for sharing that. I mean, just the tactic on that, and like the 75% increase in profit, that's massive, right? And you mentioned something like this was my home run. It was a little bit of a life change in a point. I remember like one of the initial tactics that we did with the local agencies. We ran a contest with different things, and you know, we come from the brick and mortar business. And I remember when I was running the studios, we were acquiring leads for like $20, so on. And the model was like, bring them to a free session and then you sell them inside of the studio, right? So, you know, $20 per lead, that's pretty expensive at the time. And then, you know, you have to train a sales team and so on. And, you know, the conversions wasn't there. And we ran this thing for a similar thing, a similar business model. And within a week, we collected about 2,000 emails, right? And then from those 2,000 emails, 300 people booked a session in the location to actually go try the service. And up to that point, I think they were collecting about 10 emails a month. And they had a few demos a week, right? And that was within a weekend. And that was like it was like through some content and, you know, strategic partnerships with local businesses. But it was so the business owner didn't recognize the value of it in a sense. And they're like, just 2,000 emails or just 300? Like, you don't understand. Like, we just saved you about $20,000 worth of, you know, if you have to pay for these things. But, you know, again, it was one of those things that people can just go through the path and then be like, we can actually do this again. So I resonate a lot with your story. Now, for us, it was life-changing in a way because it gave us the confidence to move forward with our work and be like, wow, look, we can actually get very tangible results if we execute this with some of the other pillars in our content, right? For you, I mean, we generated money for the agency, but we didn't do any like profit share with that model, right? Maybe it could have been a great idea. Who knows? But it changed our life in that way. Now, for you, do you know specifics of, were you an affiliate or were you a partner in that business? What was the business model? Do you remember the amount that it was, right? Because I think for somebody that might be starting or somebody that might want to implement this today, it could also be life-changing, right? Or obviously if they follow your 9 pillars and the concepts that you share. But what do you remember those amounts? Were you an affiliate? Were you a partner?
Yeah, so this was back with that specific story. So this was like the one with the car insurance. It was about 13, 14 years ago that I launched that.
Yeah. So cool.
And forgive me if I don't remember exactly if it was 13 or 14 or 15 years ago. It was a while back. It was back in my super affiliate days. So I got to the point where I was making this car insurance company so happy that they had it was like more of a partnership agreement where I was like the marketer and more of a a partner with them. So it did go from like affiliate more to like that solidified positioning. And then they were just on me like, okay, we want more leads and more leads. And so I kept on spending more and more money on ads. It got to the point where I was making over $1,000 profit for me.
Yeah.
While buying the ads on multiple days.
Wow, interesting. So cool.
So that's why for me it was life changing at the time. Like, $1,000 days, and then by the time so I ran it all for close to 2 years before it just got to the point where just with so many people having copied me that I was like, all right, time to move on to something more sustainable and time to delve into business growth in a healthier way and delve into business growth that's not as easily copyable. Because if I have just one USP, one unique selling proposition, one unique thing that I did. So, and that's what I had. I created an advertorial and I stuck it before the landing page. That was the one thing I did. That's one USP, one unique selling proposition. The way I was unique was I just switched up the way people were funneling traffic to the car insurance offers. That was my one thing. And then when we started working with clients, lots of brick and mortar businesses as well. Lots of people in home service industries, lots of people, doctors, dentists, lawyers, etc. People with, offices and clinics, and then people online as well. But we started helping them stack those differences. Okay, have a great guarantee, but on top of a great guarantee, create an amazing brand and create an amazing brand experience, and then sell differently, do value-based selling. And so we started stacking all these differences, and they got to the point where they started making their competition irrelevant because their competition didn't know how to compete with so many differences.
Yeah. You're making yourself uncopyable, which I'm guessing is probably part of some of the premise of ideas that influence your book, right? How do you catch people's attention? How do you make, yourself uncopyable? So I'm curious, why don't you share a little bit more about that? Because, again, if people go back to episode 55 and they hear a little bit about your story, you went from becoming this super affiliate, right, that you were making a lot of money, but you weren't having the impact necessarily that you wanted to. And then you decided to go and create something with a partner in Brazil, where then, in here you share with us that you've pretty much have getting over 2 million people into that movement. That is absolutely amazing, right? 7,000 people in a live event. I'm sure, if you could potentially track every single dollar that can be attributed to learning from you and your partner, I'm sure that it would be in the millions, right? So I'm extremely curious now, why ideas that influence, right? Again, I'm sure because ideas is the base of great content. And I'm sharing that because we always say quality of the message over quality of the production. You can have the best looking video in the world. You can have, the best editors that are going to spiff up your content with all the animations and such. But if your message is crappy, guess what? People are going to swipe away. They're not going to pay attention. And attention is the best currency in the world right now. It's the most important one, right? Like if somebody gives you their attention, wow. so much value. They're giving you their time, and then you have the opportunity to influence them. So share a little bit more about ideas that influence. Why that transition into that? Is it something different? Is it a new layer for your business? How are you guys operating that?
Awesome. Ideas that influence is one of the 9 pillars. So that's where it fits into the whole X factor effect methodology. And you're right, Fonzie. Ideas that influence is all about content in a way, but also more about your marketing message, which goes hand in hand, like your messaging and your story and everything. So more to hit the nail on the head, the whole purpose for Ideas That Influence is to help people come up with big, bold, and wildly successful marketing ideas that break through the marketing clutter. Because as we're fighting for people's attention, Fonzie, what we've learned as we went deeper and studied things, there's actually one fun piece of news from Forbes actually is that we're all exposed to about 4,000 to 10,000 different like marketing pieces or ads or advertisements every single day. Wow. 4,000 to 10,000 like things like screaming for our attention. That's insane.
Yep.
So if you think about yesterday, Luis and Fonzie, and I know that you guys are immersed into this marketing world, but if you can think about yesterday, how many of the marketing pieces or the stuff surrounding you that's fighting for your attention, the most valuable asset in the world today, attention, how much stuff caught your attention yesterday? What broke through the noise?
Man, yes.
Like how many things broke through the noise that you can remember from yesterday?
I mean, definitely our podcast content is profit. I mean, we got to put
There you
go. Very few. And yesterday, it was actually a day that I got distracted a lot, right? It was one of those, once in a while you end up scrolling a little bit too much. And I'm trying to remember what caught my attention the most, what I can remember from yesterday, from all that scrolling. And honestly, the most I can remember is something I saw towards the end of the day about this guy that does his garden in a very organic way, but he also harvests meat bunnies. Super interesting. Conversation for another day. But I was like, those bunnies are cute. And then next thing I know, this guy is butchering and eating them, right? And I was like, well, I mean, cool way to live. He doesn't buy meat at all. But I thought it was super interesting, right? It was something that I've never seen before. I've seen a lot of farming content. My girlfriend sends me all that stuff all the time, right? She wants land. We want to, move out there and, be self-sufficient. But I've never seen anybody harvesting bunnies, right? So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I think it's a unique idea out there, and I think that's why it caught my attention.
Yeah, for me specifically, I mean, jokes aside, yesterday I'm trying to think, and apart from my bottle my water bottle on the brand that's in here on the water bottle, like I can't remember anything. But 2 days ago, we came across this Venezuelan creator that it's the guy lives in one of the favelas, right? They call it ranchos, and is. The way that he creates content is so unique. It's just an Android phone and his humor. And the way that he moves the camera close to him and the way that he expresses himself is so unique.
Persona que cumpleaños en enero. ¿Cómo tú vas a pedir regalo? ¿Tú eres enfermo? ¿Acaso no ves que estamos en el mes de la pobreza y la pelazón?
And he has an advertising, like a promotional post for the designer that created his brand guide for him to get sponsorships. And it was so funny that and then I got hooked. Like I saw one video of him and I got hooked, and
he's definitely uncopyable because of his personality.
His personality and the way that he does, and probably the environment where he's at the same thing. Like he's trying to record this video. He's like, the reason I can't record this is because you hear all the noises, and he actually hears like people screaming and shots or whatever, right? Like the environment that he's at, and he leans fully into his personality that way. And he made it so unique that it's uncopyable. And that's what I remember, like not just from yesterday or the day before, but the entire week. It was so different that I'm like, wow, that's a good creator right there, right?
These two examples, Luis and Fonzie, are perfect examples, because The trick is, how can we be the one thing that gets remembered? Because out of the 4,000 to 10,000 things fighting for people's attention every single day, those different marketing pieces, advertisements, whatever it is, one of them sometimes stands out, and then sometimes we don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
So how can we be the person, the organic farm that's harvesting his bunnies for meat? Or how can we be the Venezuelan that lives in a favela that has a sponsorship? What? He's living in a favela. He's a comedian and he's got a sponsorship. That is different. So there's actually, we cover multiple elements inside of ideas that influence. There's 7 elements, okay? And you guys, with your 2 examples, you hit on a couple of them, okay? So when we go and we create our marketing pieces or our podcast or our next YouTube channel or our speech that we're going to give in front of 7,400 people, whatever it is that we're creating where we want to break through the noise and be that one thing that people will remember, there's 7 elements. So
do you want to share
them? What?
Do you want to share them all, or do you want to tease some of them?
We'll tease some of them. If we have time, we can talk about all of them.
Perfect.
So one of them is it has to have an X factor. It has to have that thing that is different. Both of you guys mentioned things that are different. Both of you also, the second element that I'll reveal is that it needs to share a story. Both examples, a comedian is always telling stories.
Always.
And the bunny farmer, we don't want to keep repeating the fact that he slaughters his bunnies for meat, but
it's crazy. I'm telling you. And you see the conversations in the comments, and I was like, this is a whole new world out here.
He's leaning into polarization for sure, man.
So he's sharing a story. So that's the second element that we'll reveal. So it has an X factor, so it's different in some way. It shares a story. Okay. Sticky and shareable is one of the elements. Both of those examples were great examples of things that are sticky, shareable, memorable. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see what else.
We'll do the number 4, and then if people want more, they can reach out to you on the links right below. They can click so they can find out more. Deal?
I'm curious on
wait, I was about to really do number 4, bro.
No, you already said 4. Oh no, that was third. The third one, stick and shareable. All right, cool. So 4th.
He needs to learn how to count. There we go.
3, 4, 3.5.
Yeah, it gets confusing.
One of the things that so we have people go through this little social experiment inside of Ideas That Influence, where we have people throw balls to each other. Now, if you've ever had balls thrown to you, if somebody throws you one ball, it's really easy to catch one ball. Like if somebody's standing like 15 feet away from you, they throw you a ball and you can catch one ball. If somebody throws you 2 balls at the same time, then it is possible to go ahead and catch both. But in a lot of cases, you're catching one and dropping the other, or you're dropping both.
Yeah.
If you throw 3 balls, you're usually dropping all of them. If you throw 6 balls at somebody all at the same time, boom, you usually drop all of them. And if you have 12 balls thrown at you all at the same time, catchable balls, not just like 12 basketballs, but like 12 tennis balls, right?
Yeah.
12 tennis balls thrown at you all at the same time, you usually catch none of them. So the concept that we teach is that your marketing piece, your marketing message, to break through the noise in today's clutter, it needs to be focused on one single concept or idea. Mm-hmm. And both of those examples that you shared were focused concepts. They were about one main topic. They didn't say, here's 12 different things that I'm going to talk about today.
Yeah.
They said, this is the one thing that we're talking about. It's a focused marketing message. So when you have that focus, that's the 4th one that I'll reveal, and then the 3 other elements. Yeah, if we're
Right
revealing
below.
all of it, then that's no fun.
Yeah, right below there's gonna be the links to to connect with anyone, get the book, and continue learning.
I think a good example of those is actually what we're trying to do with Content is Profit, which,
Yes.
it started as a relationship building podcast for us, right? Of course, based on entrepreneurship, marketing.
And
But it turned out that the conversations that we were having just started to be very broad, right? We would start with somebody's story and then dive into some problems and some challenges that they had. It was based on the Epiphany Bridge script, right? So we were trying to find those walls that they had throughout their journey, and then towards the end, we would cover a little bit of how's content working in your business and turning that into profit. All episodes were different on the sense of structure. So some had more content into profit than others. Some had some more story than others, right? And some just had stories where we're like, this story is insane, right? Let's just dive deep into that.
Yeah.
But, after having a conversation with our good friend, Jeremy Enns, he's been on the podcast quite a few times. He shared some of the research that he did for a pretty big guide on podcast growth. And one of the things was the podcast.
I listened to that episode, by the way.
Yeah, let's go. And
I agree with it.
Yeah, one of the main things was what you were talking about, right? Like focus on one thing. If you notice some of the best podcasts that are growing, right, that are not personality based, that are not somebody super famous, wanting to scratch an itch on having a certain amount of conversations and then having a big following that just go along with them. The big podcasts that make a mark that grow are podcasts that are focused on one thing. So we had a conversation where they said, okay, how do we focus Content is Profit into the profitable part, right? How do we drive this? And that's why now we're starting these conversations with that question, right? Like, where would you be if you didn't create any content? So I think my question now for people is, how do they find that focus, right? Somebody might be asking themselves, okay, I think I know my message, right? I help entrepreneurs do X, Y, and Z without, whatever, because that's the template that they teach you to use, right?
Without the pain.
Yeah, you help subject do X, Y, and Z without pain, right? That is the subject.
Make $30,000 in a day without any effort.
So how do we get people to focus on a message, right? How do they grab what they have and make it laser focused?
Right. We have a whole chapter that talks about that, but the big idea here, the one big thing about focusing in on the one big thing is this. We all have a million things that we could talk about with our marketing messages.
Yeah.
So for example, if I'm selling a weight loss program, I could say, "Hey, Luis and Fonzie, my weight this meal plan that I'm selling you, it's low calorie, it's organic, and it's paleo."
I thought you were gonna say, and it's made of bunny meat.
oh yeah, and it's high protein. So I could talk about four things. So there we go. There's four things. All right. So low calorie, paleo, organic, and high protein. Okay, gotcha. I could talk about all four of those things. Those are four big concepts. Mm-hmm. Your body needs, Luis and Fonzie, your body might need those four things.
My body's perfection. Just saying. But let's go with it. Let's go with it. Let's
perfect the way.
The perfect dad bod.
So the trick here is, even though you have four big benefits, big concepts that you could talk about, if I talk about all four of those big ideas and try to sell you on the fact that you need it to be low calorie, high protein, organic, and paleo, if I try to sell you on all four of those concepts, those are big ideas.
Yeah.
Those are big ideas. But if I instead say, you know what, I'm throwing up over people, like I am just trying to share everything. Okay, it's okay that I have these four big benefits, but let's focus in on the one thing, at least for the next marketing campaign that I'm putting out. Let's focus in on the one big thing that's going to have the biggest punch. And if that is rabbit meat, if that's going to have the biggest punch, then let's run with that and let's talk about all the benefits of this one big concept. And one of my favorite examples, sayings from this is Perry Belcher. I know that you guys have seen Perry speak at least once, right?
Yes.
He is amazing. So
we've actually met him in person, and it's incredible to just be with him. Like, it's so much knowledge. Like, just touch it and just like, oh, that great knowledge.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've got a really old picture with him from like 12 years ago or something. But so I bought this course. It was Russell actually mentions the same course. This is like 15 years ago that I bought this course. And so I bought this course, and he's teaching in the course. He says one thing that's just like, it was worth the whole. You know when you get one aha moment, like one big nugget, and you're like, oh, that was worth it. That was worth the whole course. Yeah. So he said it. This is the one thing. So now you don't have to go back in time 15 years ago and buy the course and uncover the one thing. The one big thing he said, and if you get this, then you get it. But he said, one of the biggest mistakes I see in business is that people try to sell two big ideas when they should be selling one. And when they try to sell those two big ideas instead of the one, they usually cut their sales in half. Boom, that's it. If you try to sell two things at once, instead of you doubling your sales, which is your hope, right? You're like, oh, it's double the benefit. I'm talking about these two big concepts. What normally happens is you cut your sales in half. And this is a direct result of the problem that we're talking about today, is that there's too much clutter out there. Yeah. There is too much content. So we need to be focused. We need to be different, right? We need to share the stories. We need to be sticky and shareable. Those are the four concepts that we talked about today. That's just part of how you create and craft your marketing message that breaks through the marketing clutter. That's what we talk about in Ideas That Influence.
Yeah, so I like that. Sorry, real quick. I think there's a exercise that could be done here, and I'm sure you guys have a way to do it. Maybe in the book there's a way to explain people how to, focus on that one idea. But I'm imagining we always say test, and then invest. There might be a period where you're testing, those four ideas that you commented. Test them individually and see which one packs a bigger punch, and then go in on that one. So you're not making just a guess out there into the air. So my exercise that I'm running myself through my mind right now is like, okay, let me write down all the ideas that are inside of content momentum, right? Or offer or service offer. Let me write down which ones potentially can I rank have the biggest punch. Then I would go and grab the maybe top 5 of those and create content on those and test them out for potentially 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then the ones I see get the most traction, I'm like, I'm going to go all in with that idea and then just go ahead and talk about it, in multiple different ways. You're saying one thing 1,000 different ways, right? That one big idea, you're just nailing it down. I think that is a good exercise for people that they can do, right? Immediately after this podcast, just sit down and start writing down those ideas. Maybe you already have data on which is the idea that packs a bigger punch. You start talking about that. I think the challenge here that we have actually seen with a lot of people is people struggle to talk about the same thing over and over and over again. We as humans have the necessity of novelty, right? Like, I already said that. Why am I going to say it again? Let me say something new, right? And we actually the person that just left the studio, right? The reason why we're recording a little bit later today is because somebody was here on the studio, and when they left, he was talking about how he was saving this one story for when he was going to be in Joe Rogan. And, I love it. I'm like, dude, I love that. But then he's like, but if that story is good enough for me to share there, why don't I share it right now? And I was like, exactly, right? I was like, that's exactly it. Plus, you are the only one that listens to 100% of your message, right? I was like, you might say the same thing 1,000 times, and in your mind is like, oh my gosh, so many people, like, this is the only thing I talk about. But the 1,000th time you say something might be the first time somebody hear it, right? And it might be the 50th time somebody hears it, which might be the right moment for them to make that decision. So I think it's so important the focusing on the message and people going through these exercises and making a decision and making a commitment to actually go ahead and, stick with that point.
Daniel, I'm so grateful that you came on today, man. It's so good. You gave us a roadmap of, with those 4 elements, which, by the way, there's like 3 more. Yeah, he's gonna.
Are you about to start wrapping up?
I'm wrapping up.
I have one more question. I have one more question before we wrap up. I'm curious on these 4 things that you did. You mentioned sticky, right? I think that is a big point of friction for a lot of people, right? And if you, concisely maybe drive some attention to this question, but how do we make things sticky, right? We talk a lot about personality. We talk a lot about message. There's 1,000 other ways, right? But how, in your eyes, or maybe let me rephrase that question. What is the best way for somebody to find the best way to be sticky with their content?
What we've noticed when it comes to sticky, and we research this a lot because this is like, oh, how do we stick in people's minds? How do we stay in that? So we all have limited RAM in our minds. Like, I'm running out of RAM. Like, by every single minute, I'm out of RAM. I'm like,
yeah.
Like, so how to get sticky in someone's mind it's harder and harder and harder. What we realized is that there's a few different ways to do it, and this is kind of how we help inside of Ideas That Influence. So there's 3 big ways to be sticky. There is visually sticky, where it's like you just can't get that image out of your mind. Maybe it's the bunny meat, right?
Yeah. We go back to it clearly.
Then there's like intellectually sticky, where it's like somebody shares like this aha moment or this way of explaining things, or this analogy where they just can't get that analogy out of their minds. And then there's verbally sticky as well. So intellectually, it sounds like it could be verbally, but
it's almost like the idea, the idea behind the concept that we're explaining, right? It's like
it's more shocking. like if you use like rhyme or a jingle or just the way you structure your message. So that's why jingles a lot of the times can stick in our minds. So it's not like intellectually sticky. It's just like a jingle you can't get out of your head. So it's like it's like verbally sticky. So it like rhymes and it's like and you're like Baby Shark. I can't get it out of my head. And
Cocomelon, yeah, baby, yeah. Go watch kids' YouTube shows. They're the masters at this.
So those are like the 3. That's like once we broke that down, we were like, because we had to teach people how to be sticky. And so that's a perfect question, Fonzie. You're like, well, how do I be sticky? Well, once you realize that you have multiple shots at being sticky, and here's multiple examples of visually sticky, intellectually sticky, and then like verbally sticky, then it's like, oh, okay, now I can kind of, play with things and figure out some ways that I can stick in people's minds.
Yeah. There's some plastic suits that you can put on and they're super sticky and,
We needed the dad joke of the day.
Yeah,
he couldn't live with that one.
And with that, guys, I'm running out of RAM. Oh man, no, Daniel, dude, I really appreciate the openness and like how deep we went into this and the examples and the stories that you shared today. I can't wait to share obviously your story and your book and the thing that you guys are doing. The interview that came before this, if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it because they're working on some amazing projects. I'm talking about Colin, and you guys are doing some amazing work there with that. So,
did you talk to Cowboy Colin yesterday?
Cowboy Colin, baby, what? Yes.
How did that happen?
Yeah, he's the episode before yours.
He's the episode before yours, and what he's doing in his business and how you're helping him implement on the event, on the live event. You guys are crushing it. So I want to encourage people to keep an eye on you, follow your journey as well, get your book and learn from you guys because you clearly are doing amazing things together. So, Daniel, is there anything else you want to add before we head out?
we talked about the book, but we didn't mention the fact that it's in a box.
Yes,
mention
the
that
book
real
box.
fast?
Yeah, of course.
The box. So I ran into this issue with Ideas That Influence where I wanted to launch this book, but I needed to be different and break through the noise also.
Yeah.
And so the trick was, how can I launch a book and be different? And the way I came up with it was I created a whole box experience around it, and we made everything free plus shipping and everything. So in the box, you get the book, and then you get 5 experience envelopes, and we made the whole box visually sticky. You open it up, it's got a light bulb. It's got all these cool things inside of it, and it's got all these tools in order to help people follow the process. So it's like a book, yes, but it's also a book with tools and fun experiences that you go through. And then,
which, by the way, we're going to add, if you're watching this on video, if you're listening, go watch the video version, because I'm going to put a section of my unboxing video, if that's okay with you, Daniel. We're going to put it in there just a little bit, because when I got that package, I was very happy. I was surprised, but I did not expect to have such a great experience opening this product. And we get so many books online or Amazon, whatever. It's always the same experience. This was so different, and there's so many elements in there that made it so memorable, right? And it's it became my new standard inside of my head on how to, if we're ever gonna go publish something, it has to be that way, right? So I'm so excited, man, that you mentioned that. But yes, we're gonna put a little link right below, or if you're watching the video, here it is.
Yeah. I like the idea of the box. We actually had a previous guest that he designs this sort of experiences. So it's a good episode too. If people want to listen a little bit about kind of gamifying experiences, go check it out. I don't remember the number of the episode, but the guest was Mark Stern. Daniel, dude, this is amazing. So pumped up to see what you're going to build with all this that you're doing, all the people that you are going to influence. And I mean, we're receiving between 4,000 and 10,000 messages, and clearly none of them stick too much because we only could recall a few. So we know that if we can recall more than one in the future, you have been successful with Ideas That Influence. So, dude, 100%. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. With that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Content Profit Podcast. Go to follow the show in your favorite podcasting platform and on social media at BizBrosCo.
That is right. And if Daniel here helped you move one step closer towards making more profit with your content, please don't forget to share this episode and leave a 5-star review. See ya.
Bye, guys.
Hey everybody, this is Luis here with BizBros. I'm actually testing a new setup in my studio for a new project that we're doing, and what a better opportunity. We just got this package from our podcast friend Daniel Doan, and I cannot wait to review it and see what's inside. Of course, there's no addresses here, but if you're ready, or even if you're not, let's go. Let's see. I actually have no idea what's in here, so we'll see what happens. Let's cut the tape real quick. Bam. Let's see, bam. And then, oh baby, what can it be? What can it be? All right, we'll throw that away. It's a little letter that says, welcome. I can tell you how excited I am for this box to finally in your hands. Ideas That Influence isn't just a book. There we are. We're probably gonna read this in just a bit. So Daniel, man, new book. Oh boy, let's see. All right, here we are. Ideas That Influence, and there's a whole box, actually. So let's see. It's a whole box. It's really thick, which is awesome. All right, what else is in here? We're gonna just put this right here on the side. There is a little mug. So let's see. I was this is packed really well, so I'm gonna have to open this in just a bit. I mean, maybe we can cut it through. Let's see. All right. Oh man, I'm a sucker for copy mugs, and this is what it says. Let's see. Ideas Rainmaker. Let's go. It looks so awesome. So, 1, the person who discovers and implements widely successful marketing ideas. That person is me. Bam! Let's go, Daniel. This is good. Amazing so far. And let's see what else. There's like Batman. I didn't know you were a fan. Let's take this box out of here. So Batman, and then there's like a whole like case thing that we gotta go and find. This is actually pretty awesome. So I'm gonna like flip some of these pages, but obviously we're not gonna read everything right now. I'm gonna have to take my time with this, but this is amazing, man. What an experience you're creating here. Oh boy, this looks like they are a bunch of amazing testimonials. I mean, look at this stack of testimonials. This is pretty sweet. So anyways, so we have the folder. Put it right here, like this. Bam. The Batman folder. Then we have our amazing coffee mug. I'm gonna put them right here on the corner. And we have our amazing like welcome signed right here for those that want to check it out. Bam. Welcome. And then the best part is, I'm gonna move this. Gotta work on my flow here. Ideas that influence. Let's go. So should we open this? Let's see what's up. Bam! All right. Oh, this is nice. Let's look. There's like a little coin here. All right. There's a notepad for probably an exercise that we're gonna have to do. Let's see what else. We got some amazing pen. I love pens. Another one to my collection, and obviously the Sharpie. And then let's go see. Oh boy, so much stuff in here. The book itself, can't wait to dive deep into this. Our experience guide. Man, well, I have to book like a whole afternoon to do this, or a whole day. This is pretty sweet, man. There's obviously the packages that start here. I mean, this is really memorable. Part 1. Choose your message category. All right. Part 2. Pinpoint your winning idea. Part 3. Test and launch your campaign. And then open this secret envelope only when prompted. Man, I'm gonna have to document this whole thing. And then I forgot this detail. I don't know if you guys saw it here, but this is actually a light that works. So pretty sweet. Let's see what's in here. Your ideas that influence, light bulb moments. Get creative. Use the sticky notes to mark out your book and write down additional insights and ideas. Man, Daniel, like, what the hell? Thank you so much. I can't wait to dive into this. I don't know what we did to deserve it, but holy crap, this is awesome. What an experience. Daniel, friend of Content is Profit. I mean, with this, you're the Hall of Famer, man, and thank you so much for giving us this. Put in the comments, obviously I'm gonna tag you here, but put in the comments how people can find or can buy these amazing experience on your book. I cannot wait to dive deep into the experience. And man, big smile on my face. This is truly genuine. I had no idea you were gonna send me this, so thank you so much. I'm so happy and I cannot wait to test it out. We actually have an idea in the works that I'm so stoked to share with everybody. So maybe this is the path for us to go and tackle that idea. So thank you, brother, again. I really appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one.